with a new artist on the Fuel FM lineup today. It's Austin Cain. Austin, welcome.
Man, thanks for having me so much, dude. This is awesome.
Absolutely. I'm going to be quite upfront and honest with you. I found your music because I was following on our social media. I'm in charge of that here at Fuel FM. And I was following We the Kingdom and all the members of the band. And when I came across Franny and I saw her married to you, I was like, oh, he's a musician. Let's go check it out. And just fell in love with your music. I think it's great. We play Parachute right now consistently on my show in the afternoon from your album, A Dream of Mine. And but let's get to know Austin a little bit today. Kind of your background, how you got started in music and where it's led you today. So
Totally. Dude, well, first off, man, Jason, thanks for having me and thanks for taking the deep dive and checking out my stuff. Really appreciate it. But man, the way I got started, so I'm the youngest of four siblings and my parents made all of us learn an instrument growing up. And so I was like, all right, I guess I got to learn something. They made us all learn something classical too. So I couldn't learn electric guitar yet. I had to learn either classical piano, violin, cello, viola, something like that. And my oldest sister chose piano. The next two chose violin. And I was like, well, I got to be different. So I'm going to choose cello. And so I started learning cello. And then, man, I remember I grew up in the church. My dad's a pastor. But I remember at church one day, maybe it might have been a Wednesday night service, I saw our worship leader walking around with this cool, sleek guitar case. And I was like, man, that looks a whole lot easier to move around than my giant cello case that's as big as my 11-year-old self. And so I go up to my dad and I'm like, Dad, can I learn guitar? And he was like, sure, son. He's like, man, if you want to save up some money, you can get yourself a guitar. So I remember by the time I was 13, I had saved up $150, went down to the local music shop and got a blue Squire Stratocaster, which is like the cheaper version of a Fender Strat. Okay. And man, it felt limitless. It felt like I just been given, the keys to a brand new car or something. I was like, this is awesome. And my dad already had an acoustic guitar amp. So I would plug an electric guitar into an acoustic guitar amp. And I just started learning music really for myself around 13. I learned cello classically, but once I got into learning guitar, it felt like I could just discover new songs and play any style, which was so fun. And even in my own music now, it started from wanting to play different styles of music. And now I still love playing different styles of music. I haven't really latched onto one, I guess, genre, if you will.
Sure.
So yeah, that carried me through. And then I kept learning different instruments, went to college, started a band, and we'd play fraternity and sorority shows and different bars and stuff in college. And then when I finished college, I had the choice either between go take a finance job in Texas or move to Nashville and work at a church. And I was like, man, I really feel like I'm not supposed to dive into the big finance world yet. And so I was like, I feel like this is kind of my opportunity to take a chance and trust God with it and keep doing music.
Where were you living at the time?
So I went to Auburn for college.
Okay.
I studied finance in college, which is kind of funny. Studied finance, and now the only thing that I do is handle our personal budget, So, and I guess running business, running music is kind of like running a business, like a really small business. I'm sure y'all literally have a business with the radio station.
Correct.
So,
yeah, nonprofit, but it's a business.
Nonprofit, but you still have to organize things and, figure out where the money's going to go.
Right.
That's honestly how I feel. Kind of feel like music a lot of times is nonprofit. One time, dude, I heard it said music is a service industry. And I love that music it's not for yourself. It's you're giving, you're caring for someone else and getting. And I think one thing that I love about making music right now is just, I'm getting to share my story and the things God has done through me and in my life in order to connect with somebody else. And if it connects with somebody else or when it connects, that's the payout. It's there's no dollar amount that can overcome just the payout of really connecting with somebody and seeing your heart transformation and then passing that on to somebody else.
Where you're at today, can you look back and appreciate having to start with classical? And do you feel like that shaped you a little bit better into who you are?
Totally, man. I think one thing that's funny, so the classical style we learned is called Suzuki method, which is ear training method. So you don't actually learn sheet music till much later. And so I didn't actually read music until I was an early teenager, but I would play music. And so I think now one thing that's helped with is my ear training is a lot better. Where, dude, I can I don't even really know how it works, but I can just hear a song and play along to it. And people are like, how do you do that? I'm like, well, I kind of find the root note, then I find some other notes, and I just do it. Like, and I think I attest that to just the ear training that I had as a kid with classical musician,
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. So I see that you pretty much produce your own stuff, Austin Cain Productions.
Yeah, I do.
Do you have a passion to do that stuff?
So you saying like my production has gotten better means a lot, because I think I've produced my own stuff for a while now. And so it's been slowly like just baby steps of getting better and learning how to like shape the sound and record drums better, record bass, and bring other musicians in. And so, yeah, dude, right now I've got a studio in our house in Nashville and produce all my stuff out of there. So,
yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Austin Cain is married to Franny, who is one of the lead singers for We the Kingdom. So I got to ask this question. Yeah. What in the world is it like being Ed Cash's son-in-law?
Man, dude,
no pressure there.
Yeah, really, man. It's such an honor though. And honestly, it's like, I think whenever you marry someone's daughter, I can't imagine having a daughter, and I can't imagine letting someone marry my daughter. I'm like, gosh, he somehow let me marry Franny, which is awesome. But the one of the biggest blessings, especially with music, is that he understands the hustle and the struggle that goes into it. And because he didn't have a normal path in life. And I think no one has a normal path. I think it's just easier to isolate creatives and say anybody in the creative industry is kind of doing their own thing. But he's done the same thing, man, where right now, what's funny is I'm at a Young Life camp, and I play a lot of Young Life camps.
Oh, cool.
And one thing that Ed did, Franny's dad, he came up playing Young Life camps as well.
Oh, nice.
And then when he had Franny, who's the oldest, him and Carrie, his wife, decided like, you know what? I don't need to be gone so much, so I'm going to focus on production. And so right now, I'm still in this phase where I'm pursuing my artist thing, but also producing more, which I can do from the road. And even right now, kind of what I'm doing here. Yeah. And so, man, it's such an honor, and getting to learn from Ed. And he is just a fountain of wisdom when it comes to music. And he's so humble about it. He's not like, this is the only way to do it. He's like, asked me about my process and the way I like to play guitar. And it's really cool. Actually, last night Franny spoke to this group of girls. They're in this, you can't see it, but this room behind me is like an auditorium.
Okay.
She spoke to this group of girls just about reclaiming your past and not letting the past define you and not letting people define you, but embracing who God has created you to be. And so she gives this talk, and it was really awesome talk to like 350, 400 girls. And then after it, we sang Peace, Peace off the Bethel record.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a We the Kingdom song. And so I just used Ed's guitar, and he was like, yeah, man, use this one. And I went up there and I played guitar, and Franny sang. And so it's been so special just to like be brought into the family as such, like without question, just being like, yeah, come on, Austin, you join us too. So it's really fun. It's
great. I watched your music video for your wedding. That was pretty sweet. That was a very cool video. But
man, that was special.
Is it sometimes hard in a sense? And I don't want to create something that's not there either. But is it hard in a sense to live in that? Ed Cash is my dad. Franny is my wife. We the Kingdom, all that stuff. Because I got to meet them back in July at Big Ticket Festival in Gaylord, Michigan, which is about 45 minutes east of us. In our backyard. Great group of people. I mean, that band, and I don't want to make it about We the Kingdom, sorry, but that band is just pure musicianship. I mean, it's just,
they're awesome.
They love to jam. And I was talking to our station manager, and I said, I liken them a lot to Need to Breathe, on how Need to Breathe comes up and just jams out, and they just love it. And we miss that nowadays. Music has kind of gotten lost in the production of it. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's easy to just get distracted by, the grid or the click track or the structure of a song, instead of just getting back to the heart of it. It's like we all started making music because it's fun. Right. We all, like, you work in the music business. It's like there was probably a song that when you were a kid, you were like, man, that moved me. And I want to do that for other people, but I totally agree, man. Their musicianship is insane.
That was Jesus Freak, DC Talk, by the way.
Yes, dude. I love that song. Come on.
Yeah, every Thursday we do Throwback Thursday here. So I play a throwback tune throughout my show, like every hour. It's fun.
Yeah.
But because a lot of people that listen to Christian music nowadays didn't grow up listening to it, which is mind-blowing to me at times. And so I forget, but it's fun to bring back these old tunes and go, hey, this is where Christian music came from. And where we are today it's just vastly different than back then, right? So
Totally is. Yeah.
but you would you consider yourself, or I don't want to answer for you, so answer the question, what style would you say you are? I was kind of labeling it more like a storytelling, alternative indie kind of thing.
Yeah. I usually say like I'm indie singer songwriter.
Not to pigeonhole you either.
Yeah, but even that term though is so vague that I'm like, it's pretty broad. Where I think about artists like James Taylor or John Mayer, Jack Johnson, Laurel Canyon kind of artist. Like that's a lot of my style, but then I also like a little funkier, jazzier stuff as well. But for the most part, I'd say indie singer songwriter. Yeah.
So tell us about Parachute. What's the backstory for that song? I love that song, by the way. Great song.
Yeah, man, thank you. That song, actually, it's pretty direct to what it's about. It's like, me and two of my best friends went skydiving. I've only been skydiving one time, but we went skydiving about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And after that experience, I remember being like, well, that was wild. That was insane. Like we just jumped out of a plane and we're like sitting in a Mexican restaurant eating like chips and queso. And I was just like, that was so cool. Like I want everyone to be able to experience that. And my desire that triggered a thought that I wrote the song a few days later, but the desire to want everyone to experience something that not everyone will get to. Sure. And I'm like, and I think life with Christ is a similar thing where like, when you jump out of the airplane, the thing that catches you isn't your own will. It's not your determination, your hustle, your drive, your whatever you think. It is, you are at the mercy of these little strings that are holding onto some tarp. It is like, it is crazy. But you're like, life with Christ is the same way. And so it's basically an analogy to that of being like, to feel most alive, you have to take the risk to jump out of the metaphorical airplane. Yeah. And you're not going to save yourself. And this thing that can save you is when you feel most alive. And life with Jesus is abundant life. Like John 10:10 talks about it. It's like abundant life, life to the full. That is what I want for you. And so I think the song kind of came from a real life experience, but then it actually, I think my heart is burdened a lot of time by people that don't know Jesus or people that may never know Jesus. And I'm like, gosh, I wish everyone could recognize what the abundant life of Christ is like and accept the gift, you know?
Do you think that American Christianity has misrepresented what the abundant life means? Is it more in our culture, abundant life means I've got the Beamer, I've got the Rolex, as an extreme, I know, but
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Materialism. I'm blessed because I have money and I don't have to worry about my finances, things like that, instead of just that abundant diving into a relationship with him. You know what I mean?
Man, that's well said, dude. I think I totally agree. I think just like you said, the term abundant, we've twisted to make it self-serving, where it's all about my comfort, my complacency, even of just, do I have enough to get by and care for me, myself, and I? And it's like, I don't think that's what John is talking about in John 10:10. I don't think that's what Jesus means when he says, pick up your cross and follow me. He's not saying it's going to be easy. He's going to say life to the full doesn't mean cushy sitting on your nice couch watching TV. It's like, that is not what God means, I don't think. So I definitely think we've got a little twisted in America trying to be, build our own kingdom instead of chasing after Jesus.
It's so easy too. It's so easy to be like that. Like, I'm unfortunately passionate about politics in this country, right?
Yeah.
I get the earthly.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I get the earthly kingdom in front of the godly kingdom too many times, and I'm like, but God, we got to fight for the end. It's like, seek first the kingdom of God, not the kingdom.
And then the rest will be added. But then we think about that, and I can be twisted. I'm like, well, the rest is added. That means I will have everything my heart desires, and it's like, not if it's not what God desires for my life,
Well, the interesting part is that we forget to bring the context to that too, is that at the beginning of that, he's talking about not to worry about tomorrow, because your needs are going to be provided and God takes care of you. So because of that, now you can seek first God's kingdom, not your own whatevers. But not that having dreams and desires and goals is wrong. I think God brings those to us, but I think it's a balance there. And sometimes that Christian life it's just hard.
I agree, man.
And that's why I appreciate that song so much, because it is like, okay, God, here we go. And the meme of the roller coaster, right? Where the kid's like going, and the Holy Spirit's like, come on, follow me.
Yeah, it's like, we're doing this. Man. And that is like, it's all the cliches, but it's so true. It's just stepping out in faith. And that is literally the step out of an airplane. Is like, this is faith. This is no longer... It's like, it's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me, and the old is gone. And it's like leaving, burn the ships, like for King Country's song.
Yeah, right.
It's like leaving behind the past and saying, I'm a new creation and I'm trusting God with my life. It's not all this baggage that I can hold on to. So
right.
It's kind of
So going back to your latest project, A Dream of Mine. Yeah. Is it a collaboration of just different songs, or is it a story to it?
Man, so it's a little bit of both. I love that you're so good at asking questions. Gosh, it's like you do this for a living or something.
Yeah.
So the song, all the album is continuous. So if you listen to it like you would an old school album, the songs bleed into one another. And so they transition.
And honestly, I've not heard the whole thing entirely yet. I'll be honest.
Yeah. But I'm saying for other people that would want to, or because I love to listen to albums all the way through and hear the story along the way, or hear the song elements that kind of keep coming back. So I created the album in a way where there's 12 songs and most all of them literally flow together. But there's not an overview story. All of the songs I feel like are more just little dreams that I've had in my life, and making a full-length album has always been a dream of mine. Getting married has always been a dream of mine. There's songs about that. Just different. Not everything is about the dreams that I've had, but I think a lot of the songs poke at it, and hint towards the concept of the importance of dreams, and I think one main way God speaks to me, at least, is through dreams. And I think throughout the Bible, and I think it's biblical too, where I'm like, God's a lot of times spoke through dreams, and I don't always know how to interpret them. And I don't know how David interpreted them, or, different people throughout the Bible, but God gives each other wisdom. And I'm like, sometimes dreams are actually like when we're sleeping, but sometimes they're just desires of our heart, or little like etches in our heart being like, I think that's the voice of God speaking to me. And so most songs are something tied to that. And I'll tell you this too. I used to never write love songs. And then I met Franny 4 years ago, and now just about all I write are love songs. And so most of the album is like love songs or something like that. So
waiting for the song called Ode to Franny.
Yeah. I might need to make one of those.
When you sit down to write music, I think I've talked to enough musicians. That sounded awful. I've spoken to enough musicians to know this. You're kind of constantly writing in your head, aren't you? Like experiences through the day. It's like, oh, that's a good line, or that's a whatever. But when you sit down to write something specifically, do you think about putting that in a collaboration as an album story, or does it just kind of happen?
Man, for me, I think it more just happens. I think I try and sit down almost always with an acoustic guitar, sometimes behind a piano, and I almost just let it come, whatever comes, and whatever flows. I think I've heard this said with prayer, where it's like, pray until you pray. So sometimes you just have to sit down and start praying, and you're like, I'm not feeling this at all. And you pray for 2-3 minutes, and then boom, you're actually conversing with God and opening up your heart. And I think the same is true with songwriting, for me at least, where I'm like, gosh, I'm not feeling this. I'm strumming along. I'm maybe singing the words that I written earlier that day or a couple days earlier. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And then boom, it clicks. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense in the broader picture, but right now, this is exactly what my heart needs to say. Yeah. So that's kind of the way I do it. And most of the time, there's no rhyme or reason to the specific song I wrote. And then sometimes after the fact, it'll come together, the bigger picture. But
which is kind of a cool God thing, right? Like
it is, yeah.
Puts it all in that one big package, which I think is cool. So how old are you?
26. Yeah.
You got a pretty good head on your shoulder for 26. It's good.
Thanks.
Wish I had that head on my shoulder when I was 26.
Man. It's easier when you wear a hat all the time. It's easier balance on the head.
I need a hat like that. I like it. Do you sell those?
I should, honestly.
It's your merch. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. What if that was just my merch? Just big hats like this? That'd be hilarious.
That'd be awesome.
Gosh.
What has the journey of marriage been like for you guys?
Man, dude. So sweet. I think there's not to downplay it or anything, but I think everybody has struggles in life, and then everybody has little victories and things that come easier and things that come harder. And I think for us, mainly it's our marriage is one of those things that is just by the grace of God come a lot easier than most people. Will almost tell you horror stories or scary, be like, man, the first year of marriage is really hard, or second year, this, that, the other. And we're like, man, we haven't gotten to that yet. I don't know when this hard time's coming, but it's been really sweet. And I think we've been as intentional as we can to take time together, because when it is difficult is when we're apart for a long time. Sure. So when we get back together, we're just we try and be as present as we can be and playing date nights. And what's funny, Freddie doesn't like to cook, so I like to cook, and I'll playing the meals out and trying to make something really fun. And, but it's been really sweet, man. Sometimes it's funny navigating the family dynamic because we're with her family a lot, and we want to spend time with both of our families, but because of the band, it's easy to just be with her family a whole bunch. But
right.
It's been really.
So you're in Nashville now, correct? You're not now,
actually,
but where you live.
Yeah. So we live in Nashville right now. I'm in Georgia at a camp, at a Christian camp. So nice. Yeah.
My brother and sister-in-law live down there in Fayetteville, Georgia.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
We used to live there, just south of Atlanta.
And y'all are northwest Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess if you look at do the hand thing.
The map thing. So are you going to be on tour anytime? Are you planning on doing any shows out on the road? So I signed with a booking agency a year ago, and they booked me for college gigs. And so I play. It's never a full tour, but I play a whole bunch of one-off college gigs. So next week I'm going to Nebraska, Wayne State, Nebraska, okay. and Pittsburgh State, and then Kansas. So we've got over the next couple of weeks, I'm playing a couple shows, but not a full tour. Yeah. Just kind of shows here and there. What did you grow up listening to Christian music, Christian radio? I know you grew up listening to a lot of stuff, obviously, by the way that you write your music and play your music. But in your opinion, how important is Christian radio from your perspective, even for Franny's perspective, right? Because that's their bread and butter. Yeah, man, I think, one thing that opened my mind to the older music is I started listening Stephen Curtis Chapman, Michael W. Smith era. Yeah. My parents would put it on. Point of Grace, if you remember them, a group. Yeah. But we went to the premiere for the Jesus Music. It's a movie. I have not seen that yet. You got to see it. It's so good, bro. It is unbelievable. And I didn't realize the way God was working in the 70s and 80s just to cultivate a whole new means of communicating, through music. And I think the things we watch, the things we put in our ears, things we put in our body are all so important. And it's what a gift that we get to be alive, and what a gift that we get to steward what God's given us. And one way to steward that is by being cognizant, not just letting life happen to us, but being a participant and saying, what am I going to choose to listen to? Yeah. If I choose something that's a lot more life-giving, that's probably going to be a little bit more beneficial for me, And so I think, man, Christian radio is just a powerful means to intentionally impact somebody's heart. Because you can flip through any channel and listen to anything. You can find any playlist, but to know what I'm going to listen to here is actually good for my soul, not just
a nice beat or a nice melody or good singing,
Yeah.
So
I have to admit, though, there are sometimes I like to jam out to a little Def Leppard. And
yes, dude, I was wearing a Def Leppard shirt yesterday. And dude, the Red Hot Chili Peppers were in Nashville like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, something like that. And I was so bummed I missed it. They were like one of my favorite bands as a kid.
Yeah. A lot of those. One of my favorites, Nickelback. I don't know.
Big Nickelback guy. That's funny, dude. One of my dad grew up listening to James Taylor.
Yeah.
And so James Taylor and Boston were his two favorites.
Sure, absolutely.
And so he'd always listen to that. And then my mom would like put on the Michael W. Smith or Point of Grace. So.
Had to balance it out here.
Yeah,
No, that's good. Well, I appreciate your time. Just real quick before we go, like, encourage those who are watching today. Life is weird now. It just, speaking of getting into politics, I don't want to go there. I'm just saying, like, I've never been a part of such division in my life until the last few years. And how would you encourage someone today who maybe is like, there's so much uncertainty in our life, there's fear being broadcast. I mean, we try here, obviously, and you do the same, I'm sure, just to encourage people to get them to think about the fact that we don't have to worry, right? Yeah. I'm encouraging them. You do it. What would you say to them?
Yeah. Man, you're so good at this, dude. You're saying a lot of good stuff. I think one thing to remind myself a lot of time is like, because like you're talking about, politics are important and the things going on in the world are important, and we're alive in a certain time and space for a reason. And,
absolutely. I agree with you.
But then I also think about, we already have a savior and we don't need another savior. We don't need a political leader, a musical hero, a movie star. We don't need anybody else, really. At the end of the day, we have Jesus, and that is actually the game changer. And so I think when we take a step back and say, things going on in the world are important, but that all that actually comes second place to Jesus. And just recognizing that one thing that helps me too is when my spirit gets stirred up and I get a little feisty, is that I think there's more in common with each other. We have more in common with each other than different. Yeah. And our culture just focuses on so much these little nuanced differences and tries to drive a wedge between us, instead of recognizing most of us have a lot in common. And let's celebrate that and encourage each other. And the enemy isn't, oh, that's the enemy and I'm the hero. It's like Jesus is the hero and the enemy is devil, and the devil's already been defeated. So the headline of the whole world is Jesus wins. And I'm like, that is something to celebrate for. And we get to participate and do things as well. But I think one thing that encourages me is that the headline for all the world and all humanity is that Jesus wins. Yeah. And so we get to participate, encourage, love people, meet people. But at the end of the day, he's done it. And he's drawn us all together. So I think that's really special for me. And I just try and recognize the more similarities that we have instead of the differences.
I think where I go wrong a lot of times, to be honest, is that my expectations of how people should behave. And I had a pastor say one time, the problem with believers is that we expect unbelievers to act like believers, which is the problem believers or unbelievers have with us. It's like, I can't expect a dead person to live alive, right? And that's what we are before we come to Christ. We're dead. And the Bible says that we don't fight against, the rulers of this principalities, and my time is running out here. So we'll just end it right there. But it's hard because sometimes those dark forces seem like they embody a human being. And it's like, you just get riled up, want to fight it. But but thanks for that word. That is extremely encouraging. You're right. We have a lot of similarities, and we might have to get back to the time where we meet someone on the street and draw half the fish and they draw the rest of the half.
Yes. I love that old school fish.
So,
but I think what you're doing is awesome. So thanks for playing my song, and thank you for
absolutely.
Really appreciate it.
It's really good. It's you put out some good stuff, and I appreciate that. I appreciate your heart and for what you do and what you're trying to bring to the world. And I think that's going to be amazing. And I hope to someday meet you in person and,
absolutely
hear you in person, jam out in front of us. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I played in Houghton, Michigan a couple of weeks ago, but that was like,
UP
way up there. It's like,
way up. Take a snowmobile to get there.
The next time I'm close to you, I'll let you know. If you're ever in Nashville, hit me up. So,
Yes, I got a few people to go visit, that's for sure. So you will definitely be on the list. But Austin, take care. Thanks again, and God bless.
God bless you too. See you. Bye.